What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. James is back this week. Took some time off last week. Really happy he's back. I hate doing this show by myself. It's just no fun when it's just one person. I think, James, you could agree with that. Yeah. If it ever comes a time when you have to do this by yourself, try to get a co-host. I tried. I texted a ton of people. I was like, please come on this show. And they were all like, I can't, man. I'm too busy. But anyway, I did it by myself. So this show is a little bit different, as you can see. We are not doing an intro song. We're going to get into that later in the week. We had some issues last week with it. But this is a post-NFL Combine kind of recap show. With this, I know James and I really love this time of year when it's draft season, NFL offseason's going on. But for this show, we're going to do like I said, post-combine, top 5 players at each position, and an updated mock draft. To save some time, we're going to alternate. James has, I know to start things off, James has quarterbacks, I got running backs, and we're just going to keep going back and forth. And then with the mock draft, again, to save time, I'm going to take the first 2 picks. James will take the next 2 picks, and we're going to go back and forth that way. So, James, what's going on?
Not much. What Shane didn't let all of you know is that we were about 10 minutes into the show and my internet cut out. So we're going to go through the first 10 minutes a little faster than we normally would have because the first time was really conversational and everything, but whatever. I'll start with the quarterbacks. My number 1 quarterback prospect post-combine is definitely Josh Rosen. Best ball. I think he's the most NFL ready. I think he can go to a team like the Giants. If I'm the Giants, I'm taking him number 2. I might take Sam Darnold just because Sam Darnold might have a little higher ceiling, but not sure. Number 2 quarterback prospect is Josh Allen. He has the highest ceiling of probably any player in the whole draft if he reaches his full potential. Very, very low floor, though. He has a huge bust potential. A lot of teams are guilty of falling in love with the body and the measurables and things and, forget if a guy can play quarterback or not. I think Josh Allen can, and I think he has the right mentality and attitude to, become a good player. 3, I have Sam Darnold, probably to some people's surprise. He's a little overrated in my opinion. I think he's a very high floor player. Very low bust potential. I think he, at worst, will be a pretty solid player because he is pretty accurate. And he does have a solid frame. I don't see him getting hurt too much, which is a lot of quarterbacks' problems, to be honest with you. I sort of see a poor man's Andrew Luck with him. I don't think he's as good as Andrew Luck, but I do think he has a similar skill set. Athletic, smart, but, maybe lock on receivers a little too much, maybe, push the ball downfield a little too much, a little too many turnovers, but, pretty good player, number 3 overall prospect after the combine. If he would have thrown and wowed me, he'd probably be a little higher, but he didn't throw. So, 4, I have Baker Mayfield. Very accurate, which I think can help him in the NFL, but, he's not as athletic as I thought, which is going to hurt him because he's going to have to run around and make plays. He's going to have to find what lanes to throw in and things like that. He's not going to be able to sit in the pocket and throw over a 6'7" tackle at his height. It's just not going to happen. And 5, I have Lamar Jackson, definitely the second highest ceiling of any quarterback in the draft. Absolute cannon. I swear his arm is almost as big as Josh Allen's, to be honest with you. He's got ridiculous speed. I think he can run somewhere in the 4.4s. I do think he's that fast.
Yeah.
He's a little inaccurate, which Shane has pointed out. That's why Shane doesn't think as highly of him as I do necessarily. But the mechanics can help accuracy. You're not going to just become an accurate quarterback overnight. But his accuracy isn't as bad as you're being led to believe, number 1. So his adjusted completion percentage, it was like 68% or something like that, which is not bad. If you take out drops and spikes and throwaways and things like that. He can hit the open man. He's not inaccurate. And he does have a cannon. So if you can sort of hone in on his, his skill set, you can definitely have a really good player. He's pretty slight. I think he's going to have a hard time staying healthy in the NFL. But he is only 20 years old. He has a lot of, if he can put on 25 pounds over the next, the course of the next 5 years, he's going to be a big, solid, fast, athletic dude. So the guy could literally be unstoppable. But I'm excited to hear your running backs list because the running back is so deep this year, and just really curious to see who you got up there.
Real quick, I just want to say I do like, contrary to belief, I do like Lamar Jackson. He's got all the intangibles. His size isn't ideal, but he can sling it, he can run it. I do like him. I think one thing, his accuracy, like I said, isn't great. I've told you that, James. But what has he had really to work with at Louisville? He was a one-man show. He never had an offensive line. He didn't really have weapons on the perimeter. He didn't have a run game to back him up. So,
and he is a project. I mean, he's not close to starting week 1, 2018, and I think everyone understands that. But there's no way if the Saints or the Chargers or the Patriots even. I'm taking him at 31 if I'm the Patriots. You're going to tell me Bill Belichick can't make him a better Jacoby Brissett and win games with Lamar Jackson? You're kidding me.
Real quick, where do you lean? What are the chances he gets in the first round? He sneaks in the first round right now.
He's a first rounder. I promise you, he's getting drafted first round.
Are you 100% sure about that?
100%. I will bet you $100 he goes first round.
I mean, you know I'm unemployed, right?
Put it this way: if he doesn't go first round, I'll literally give you $20. You don't even have to give me anything if he doesn't.
All right. So we're gonna move on to running backs, which is my category. But like James said, this is a very, very, very deep running back class, really for back-to-back years. Last year was very deep. I know Kareem Hunt fell to the third round. But this year, I could see guys finding a first-string running back into the third round, maybe later. But one guy, I want to start with an honorable mention here. One guy I thought really made a name for himself is Rashad Penny from San Diego State.
He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, measured in at 5'11", 220. That's solid. Ran a 4.46 40. Bench, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, 4.46 40. His bench press isn't great, only 13. That's not the worst thing in the world. But 32-inch vertical, 10-foot broad jump, that's not bad at all. I really think he boosted his draft stock. He could be a really good day 2 prospect.
Yeah, I think he goes day 2 as well.
I'm going to start. I'll start 1 to 5. Number 1, obviously Saquon Barkley. Listen, have you seen what he measured at the combine?
Dude, it's unreal.
He measured in at 6 foot, 233 pounds.
Dude, he's the biggest, strongest, fastest dude. Jumped the highest, jumped the farthest, ran the fastest. The only dude who ran faster than him was like 190 pounds.
I think that was Denzel Ward. Or are you talking about running backs?
I'm talking about running backs.
Okay. But yeah, 4.4 40, bench press 29 times, 41-inch vertical.
That's unreal.
He's a generational talent. Tested through the roof. I mean, this guy, future All-Pro. He's easily the first running back in this class. Number 2.
The best part about it, hold on, can I mention something there? The best part about it is apparently he's like a perfect kid too. Never does anything wrong, works his ass off, always at practice. He's
done some interviews with Barstool Sports, and he just seems like a really stand-up guy. I really like him. Just hate he went to Penn State. But anyway, number 2. I have Darius Geis from LSU. I thought he'd be a little bit bigger. He measured in at 5'10", 212, but ran a 4.4 40, 15 bench press reps. Not terrible. I thought he'd be a little bit bigger, maybe bench press a little bit more. But he's a pretty good downhill runner with apparently some speed. I think he'll be a pretty good prospect. He should be a first rounder. Number 3, I got Sony Michel from Georgia. 5'11", 220. Not as fast as what I thought. He was in the mid 4.5s. What's that?
He plays faster than that.
Yeah, I know.
I was very surprised by that number as well.
Yeah.
But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think so too. He plays a lot faster than, but 4.5 solid. We
especially at running back.
Yeah.
That's more than solid.
If you run a 4.5 at any position, that's solid.
Yeah, nobody's catching you from behind if you run a 4.5.
And bench press was 22. This dude is the most complete back, in my opinion, outside of Barkley. Yeah. He should go in the first round. I have him actually in my top 20 in my mock draft on my blog. Really solid prospect. I'll be shocked if he doesn't go in the first round. Number 4, I got Ronald Jones, the second out of USC. Not as big as the other backs. 5'11", 200 pounds. But we didn't really get a good look at him. I'm pretty sure he got hurt in the middle of his 40. I think pulled a hamstring. Ran a 4.6 40. I know he's faster than that. 36-inch vertical, though. Plenty athletic. going to be a really interesting prospect, but now he's probably fallen to the second round. We're going to get more out of him for his pro day.
I don't think he's an every down back. I do think he can be a really good player and really do a lot of things for a team.
I think so too.
I wouldn't draft him in the first round because I don't think he can play 3 downs on the field.
He's a really good downhill runner. He runs angry. I like him, but yeah, I'm not sure I'd take him in the first round.
It's easier to run angry in the Pac-12 than it is when those linebackers start hitting you at 200 pounds. Dude, 200 pounds is nothing.
Yeah. He definitely needs to bulk up. Number 5, lastly, I got Nick Chubb from Georgia. Really surprising.
Backs.
What's that?
2 Georgia backs.
I know.
When's the last time that happened?
Who knows?
USC, Reggie Bush, and Lendell White.
I know Lendell White, I think, went in the second round, so maybe. But 5'11", 230, 4.54. I mean, solid time. 4.5 40, 29 bench press, 38.5-inch vertical, 128-inch broad jump. I mean, really solid. I did not expect that from him. He really showcased his athleticism. I think he's battled some injuries at Georgia. Which might force him to be
one of the worst injuries I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think he falls to the second round, but man, he really showed his stuff at the combine.
Do you remember that injury?
Vaguely.
Dude, you know how your knee bends this way? It bent the other way. He had a Teddy Bridgewater situation.
Was it worse than Marcus Lattimore? Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yes, it was. Okay, so I actually like that list. Mine would have been similar. I might have shuffled a few people. I would have had Sony Michel above Geis, but they really are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, this one was actually tough because you never know if it's going to be a good class or not until afterwards. But it's looking like this is going to be a pretty shitty wide receiver class.
I don't think you're not gonna find a wide receiver 1 in this class.
I agree.
But I think there's a lot of solid day 2 wide receivers to be a second wide receiver or a third guy.
Agreed. Number 1, I got the consensus pick, Calvin Ridley. He's a little less athletic than I had hoped. I mean, he's still plenty athletic, don't get me wrong, but the fact that he's only 6 feet tall and he's, he doesn't have any outstanding traits, but I think he can be a solid receiver because he runs routes really well, things like that.
4.4 40, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but when you're only 6 feet, you should run a 4.4 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have anything. Like it's not like he ran a 4.3 or anything.
Yeah.
2, I have Christian Kirk. He killed the quicker than fast thing.
He was really impressive.
He benched 20 times. He's gonna be able to get off the line. Like a team.
If he was a little bit bigger, he might be the first guy on the board.
Whoever needs a slot receiver, he's going to be unstoppable on a slot. He's going to push those guys right off of him and get open every time. 3, I have Cortland Sutton, just a really big, strong guy. I think he can be a good possession receiver in the NFL. 4, I have Equanimous St. Brown.
I love him solely based on name.
He would easily, I promise you, be the number 1 prospect in this draft, wide receiver prospect in this draft if he went anywhere except Notre Dame.
Yeah, they rely too much on the run game.
The quarterback couldn't throw the ball, dude. He had a great combine, did way better than I thought, and he's going to be a great player.
Big body, too, like 6'4", 6'5", I think, 215 is what he came in as.
Yeah. And 5, I had DJ Chark from LSU. He just had an insane combine, dude. When you run that fast and jump that high, you have that potential, and when you have a high ceiling player, you got to put him in the top 5. I actually replaced James Washington with him. I don't think James Washington
was not impressive.
No, I don't think he's that athletic. He's going to have a hard time getting open. The Big 12 is easy to catch deep ball after deep ball after deep ball. You're going to have to do something else.
To my friend William, he's my Giants friend, James, that I keep telling you about. He's pounding the table for Mason Rudolph. I will admit, seeing James Washington at the Combine really made me reconsider what I think about Mason Rudolph. James Washington did not look good. I read this
article today, and they were talking Mason Rudolph up like crazy.
I like him. I'm not that sold on him, but I like him.
Let's hear your interior lineman.
Now we're at tight ends.
Oh, you have tight end's kind of cool. I actually like this draft class.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not going to do an honorable mention. First guy is I'm going a little bit different route. I got Mike Gesicki from Penn State. This dude,
Gronk. He's Gronk.
Yeah, this dude measured insanely well. 6'5", 247, 4.5 40, 22 bench press. 41.5-inch vertical, 129-inch broad jump. I really like this guy. Yeah, if you need a tight end, I really think this is the dude to get. He could go first round. I'm not sure I had him in the first round. I did not, but he could easily slip in there.
I do.
Yeah. Number 2, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Dallas Goedert. Goedert from South Dakota State. We didn't see much of him.
I saw some highlights. Dude, he's a beast. He's sick.
He's 6'5", 255. That's great size. 23 reps on the bench. That's really good. But he didn't run. He didn't do anything else.
When they do the pro day, apparently he's really fast.
If he runs like Evan Ingram, like 4.3, which I doubt, but yeah, he'll easily might end up being tight end 1.
Yeah.
I like him though. Hayden Hurst comes in at number 3 from South Carolina. In any other year, he might be the top tight end in any other draft class. 6'4", 250, 4'6", 40. Pretty good. I mean, 31-inch vertical, 120-inch broad jump. Really solid. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Basically, like any other year, I think he could be the top tight end on the board. And then Mark Andrews from Oklahoma comes in at number 4. Really not overly impressive, even though he was really good with Baker Mayfield. Ran a 4.6 40, not bad, but his bench press isn't impressive. Just 17 reps.
Good enough.
Yeah, 31-inch vertical. He strikes me more, and there's nothing wrong with it, but more of a Jimmy Graham pass catcher. He's not going to make a huge impact run game, but he could be a pass catcher, red zone target, which isn't bad. Most teams need that. And then at number 5, I got Ian Thomas from Indiana. I mean, I had never really heard of this guy until the combine. 6'5", 248, 4'7", 40, 36-inch vertical jump. Really athletic. I think he's elevated himself to be a day 2 prospect. Just like we said, really deep tight end class.
I think I would have put Dalton Schultz.
He was my honorable mention.
I think I would have had him at 5, but yeah, can't argue with that. Yeah. That was good.
His bench press reps weren't that good though. He was only at 15.
Yeah, that's just not good enough. Yeah. It's just not. All right. So we're going to do offensive line now. Listen, I'm not a scout. I don't watch offensive line film, so I'm not even going to lie. This is more thrown together than anything. Number 1, I do have Connor Williams. Apparently his 2016 tape would have made him a top 5 pick if he came out, but he didn't. 2, I have McGlinchey. I think he's a really safe pick. Big, sturdy, very good run blocker.
A lot of really tall offensive tackles in this, like 6'8" and up.
3'8", number 3, I have Colton Miller, who's 6'8", 310.
Yeah, I mean, so is McGlinchey.
I think he's a great second-day prospect. Number 4, I have Martinez Rankin. He's a great athlete. I saw his numbers from the combine. Really good athlete. Number 5, I have Jamarco Jones. I always love Ohio State prospects. They're usually
he wasn't that impressive at the combine, but I think he's going to be solid.
Yeah, Ohio State players usually end up being pretty good in the NFL because they're all great athletes, all of them. That's all Urban Meyer recruits there. So that's all I have for that. You
only have 4? What about Brian O'Neill? He was really...
I have 5. Williams, McGlinchey, Colton Miller, Martinez Rankin.
And you did have 5. Okay. I thought you only said 4. I would have put Brian O'Neill in there. He was really impressive, really athletic.
You know what? I should have from Pitt. And you know what's crazy? I have him in the first round of my mock draft.
Yeah.
I did this a few days ago, and I did leave him out. I would have probably, honestly, put him right behind McGlinchey and in front of Colton Miller.
That's what I have him.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to – what's that?
I was going to say, go ahead with your interior.
So I'm
actually kind of interested because, this is actually a pretty deep, interior lineman class. There's some pretty good players in there.
Yeah, I agree. But number 1, easily Quentin Nelson. I think this dude, right behind Saquon Barkley, is the safest pick in the draft. I would say him, Barkley, Bradley Chubb, and Minkah Fitzpatrick are going to be the stars of this class. They're going to be all-pro players. But anyway, Quentin Nelson, I think the best way to judge a interior offensive lineman is their bench press, and he bench pressed 35 reps. Just really athletic. He didn't run the 40, but if he's under a 5'2", that's solid, given his size, about 6'5", 330. Really solid player. Going to be a star at the next level. Going to boost anyone's run game. Number 2, I have James Daniels, the center from Iowa. pretty good size for a center, 6'3", 295. Bench press was a little low, 21. But that's not that bad, but maybe it's just because we're looking at, what's his name? Quentin Nelson, and think that's the norm. But 21's not terrible. It's not ideal, but I think he could be a really solid center. I had to bump him up because 2 of my top 5 didn't even compete, I don't think, at the Combine. So I had to bump him up. Number 3, I got Isaiah Wynn from Georgia. He didn't do much. I think he had a shoulder surgery not long ago, and I don't think he was able to compete. But I think he's going to boost anyone's run game at the next level. Number 4, Will Hernandez. Have you heard about this guy, James, from Utah?
Utah.
Yep, 6'2", 348 pounds, ran a 5'1", 40, 37 bench press reps. That's insane. He looked really good apparently at the Senior Bowl, and at 348 pounds, that's freakishly athletic to run a 5'1".
Yes.
Really intriguing prospect. I won't be shocked at all if he goes in the first round. And then number 5, I got Billy Price from Ohio State. He wasn't able to compete. He tore his pec, this week. I didn't know that. He's probably now going to fall day 2. I'm not even sure he's going to be able to do much at his pro day with that injury. But whoever gets him in the second or third round, whichever, is getting a steal, in my opinion. He would be the top center in this class if he didn't get hurt.
Okay. Yeah, I heard the same thing. All right, so I had edge rushers. This isn't that deep. It's very top heavy. There's a couple, maybe a few really good players at the top, but below that, not too many good players. Number 1, you have Bradley Chubb, like Shane said. He probably is, potential Pro Bowler type player. He does have very good tape. Marcus Davenport from UTSA.
He had a great combine.
Long, fast, solid. I heard today that if he went to another school, he'd be a top 5 pick. Similar to Khalil Mack, you know what I mean? Mack would have probably went number 1 or number 2 if he didn't go to Buffalo. I heard the same things about this guy. 3, I have Arden Key. Had very similar combine measurements to Davenport. Obviously he did it at a higher level. Very good prospect, but he does have some off-field concerns. Yeah. 4 and 5 I just kind of threw in there because, like I said, it's very top-heavy. I mean, there's some solid players below that, but I have Sam Hubbard at 4. Again, I love the OSU prospects. They're usually very good athletes, very strong. And Harold Landry, he had a bad year last year, but his 2016 tape, similar to who had really good Connor Williams. If you went and looked at his 2016 tape, he's definitely an NFL player.
Landry's a stud, I think.
Yeah. Yes, Landry's very good. Those are my. I'm excited for my last 2. I'm excited for linebackers and safeties.
Comment more on edge rushers, outside of the top 5, there's really not much. The 2 guys I think who may make noise is Dorrance Armstrong from Kansas and the guy from USC, like Uchenna Nwosu. He had a really good combine.
The guy from Oklahoma apparently is pretty good too.
Yeah, him too. I like him too. I can't remember his name, but I think he could be pretty decent too. But interior defensive lineman. Number 1, I don't think this is really much of a surprise either. I got Vita Vea from Washington. Again, like Will Hernandez, freakishly athletic for 6'4", 347 pounds. He ran a 5'1", 40. He bench pressed 41 times. That's all he needs to do. He's not going to be a pass rusher at that size. He's going to be a run stuffer, plug up holes, stop right there. He aced that right there. He's going to be, I say, top 20 pick with that right there.
I agree.
And then number 2, I got Daron Payne from Alabama. He might be the most complete interior defensive lineman in this draft. Decent size, 6'2", 311, ran a 4'9", 40, 27 bench press reps. That's not bad at all. I think he's versatile. He's gonna play. I think he can play in either 4-3-4 or 4-3 defense, and I think he can make an impact in the run and passing game. Number 3. I got Harrison Phillips from Stanford. I feel really bad. If Maurice Hurst hadn't got hurt, he would be number 3.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say he got hurt, but he's a first-round talent. I should have mentioned he's my honorable mention. He's a first-round talent, but he was diagnosed with a heart condition, and that's really going to set him back. He wasn't able to compete at the combine. I'm hoping that it's a misdiagnosis and he's able to play because I think he could be a good player. But Harrison Phillips comes in at number 3. 40 wasn't great, 5'2", but he had 42 bench press reps, 32-inch vertical. That's pretty solid. Stanford knows how to build guys in the trenches. I would take a chance on him. I think he's a first-round guy. And then at number 4, I think you had him in the first round, James. Taven Bryan from Florida.
I do.
He actually tested very well. The only thing that holds me back was he wasn't really productive at Florida until his last year. But 4'9", 40, 30 reps of bench, 6'4", 291, 35-inch vertical. That's really solid. Interesting prospect for sure. He might be able to sneak in the first round. And at number 5, he really wasn't that great at the combine, but I had Derek Noddy from Florida State. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Came in really undersized, 6'1", 299. When you're that size, I expect you to run faster, and he ran almost a 5'4", 40. Just 25 bench press.
Not very good.
No, it's not. But I don't really know anyone else to throw in there. I'll do some more research and get back to you, but he should probably go late second round after that combine.
All right. I have linebackers. I'm excited to do the linebackers. I think there's some really, really good.
There are some great linebackers in this class, I think.
First of all, number 1, simply from a prospect point of view, you know what I mean? Maybe not what they've done so far. I don't know how you don't put Tremaine Edmonds as the number 1 overall linebacker.
I had Roquan Smith.
He's 19, dude. That's insane.
Yeah.
6'5", 230 something. When he's 25 years old, he's going to be 6'5", maybe 6'6", 250 pounds, and fast. That's going to be probably the best linebacker in the NFL. Has really good off-ball tape. Is going to need to add some meat on his frame to really, make a big difference in the box. But, in today's NFL, you need to be a good cover, linebacker, and he's perfect for that, especially in like a zone scheme where he can just, kind of use his big long frame to,
I like long linebackers.
Exactly. Number 2, I have Roquan Smith. I mean, he is the best linebacker in the draft. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, from a prospect point of view, I have Tremaine Edmonds.
I agree with that.
But he is undersized. It might hurt him with durability issues and things like that. But I mean, the dude is a freaking demon on the field. Yeah. He really is. Especially in like the Oklahoma game in the NFC Championship, the national championship.
Yeah. He was a stud.
Absolutely. 3, I have Leighton Vander Esch from Boise State. Very similar build to Tremaine Edmonds. Apparently his film is fantastic.
I haven't watched his film. He has just been rising up the boards quickly
the
last few weeks.
He's a beast. I kind of want the Eagles to get him. His upside's very, very high. 4, I have Rashaan Evans, very athletic. Maybe depends a little bit too much on his athleticism, like a lot of Bama prospects do, in my opinion. But I think he's going to be a solid player. And then number 5, surprise of the day, I have Shaq Griffin. He's undersized, he's handless, dude. But when you can run a 4.3, dude, you can get on the field.
Yeah,
like you're good enough.
The one hand is really going to hold him back. He's going to fall to probably the 4th or 5th round.
Plays. I think you can do something for him. He makes plays, dude. Someone will find a spot for him.
He reminds me so much of who are the linebackers? Quan Alexander and Deion Jones from LSU. I think he'd be a really good Tampa 2 coverage linebacker. I think he'd be really good at that.
Or what's his name from
He'll be able to cover space with that 40 for sure.
Exactly. All right, so I'm curious to hear your corners.
Well, number 1, Denzel Ward from Ohio State. He doesn't have great size, only 5'10", 191, but I think he has easily cemented himself as the top cornerback in this class with his 40 time. Ran a 4.3, 240, 16 bench press reps. I mean, that's solid. I wish he was a little bit bigger. If he was a little bit bigger, man, I think he had all pro all over him. 39-inch vertical, 136-inch broad jump. That's crazy. Crazy athletic. Number 2, I got Josh Jackson from Iowa. He really needed to. I'm close to just dropping him a little bit. He really needed to show himself at the combine. He didn't, in my opinion. Ran a 4.5. That's not bad, but he really needed to be faster than that to get into the top 10. 18 bench press reps, though, which is really good for a guy of his size, 6'1", 192. He's going to be a press corner. He's going to be physical. I'm just not – he didn't look good on the field, though. For the on-the-field stuff, I told you Deion Sanders was watching him and said, this dude's a safety. I'm just not sure he's a corner, but like you said, though, his tape's really good. Number 3, I actually bumped Jair Alexander from – I think is how you pronounce his name, from Louisville. Yep. And to number 3. I think he is easily now in the first round talk. He came in at 5'11", 192, ran a 4.3 40, 35-inch vertical. Just tested through the roof. He looked really fluid on the field. I think he's going to be a really good prospect. Isaiah Oliver from Colorado comes in at number 4. Similar to Jackson, he really didn't wow us at the combine. He only did the 40. He ran a 4.5. He was okay on the field, though. He didn't hurt his draft stock, but he didn't really improve it. He's going to be on the fringe of that first round, early second round, I think. And then at number 5, I got Mike Hughes from Central Florida. Not the fastest, just a 4.5, but had 20 reps of bench, 35.5-inch vertical. He's going to be really good at man-to-man coverage. And I think his kick returning skills only increase his value. They're always looking for playmakers in special teams. And then as an honorable mention, I got Anthony Averett from Alabama. He looked really good. Ran a 4.3 40. Good, little bit undersized, 6 foot, 185 pounds. Not a great vertical at 31.5, but just really solid. Nick Saban knows how to develop secondary players.
Absolutely. Safeties, I was also excited to do this one.
I'm curious. I think this class is extremely deep in the defensive back area.
We're going to disagree on my list. I'm going to tell you that right now. Number 1, I have Derwin James. I'm going to tell you why.
I like Minkah Fitzpatrick more, but Derwin James was solid.
Listen, I have Minkah Fitzpatrick too. I'll tell you that. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick can do more things, but I think Derwin James can do one thing better than him. Does that make sense? I would rather have – I think Derwin James is a strong safety. I'd rather have an all-pro strong safety than have – which I think Derwin James can be, than, a player like a Malcolm Jenkins who can do everything. He's really good. He's all over the place, but I don't think he's an all-pro player at his position. Honestly, I might end up being proved wrong here, but I do think Derwin James is going to be an all-pro in the future. I think he's going to be a beast. Fitzpatrick too, like I said. 3, I have Ronnie Harrison. He's a very large man. I think I had him at my number 4. I do think he's more of a strong safety as well, but definitely a solid prospect. 4, I have Kaiser White.
Really?
Long, athletic, can do it all. I've seen him play.
Yeah, we have.
I know he can play.
I had him at number 5. I think he goes second round.
5, I have Justin Reed from Stanford.
I get him at number 3. He ran like a 4.40. I mean, really good.
Solid player. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So, I guess, is there anybody outside your top 5 at any position? I just want to ask you this on the spot. Anyone outside the top 5 at any position that you would pound the table for?
What do you mean?
Like, is there anyone outside a top 5 at any of these positions that you did where you're like, I like this guy? I really like this guy.
Running back. There's a lot of good running backs.
Yeah.
And tight end. Tight end, too.
Yeah.
I think there's more than 5 good prospects, really good and interior line. I think there's more than 5 good prospects at all 3 of those positions.
I would agree with that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our mock draft. I'll go ahead and start things off. Cleveland Browns with the number 1 overall pick. I have taking running back Saquon Barkley out of Penn State.
Me too.
Not much to say.
I think there is something to say.
Okay.
I think if they didn't have the number 4 overall pick, that they wouldn't pick Saquon Barkley at number 1. But since they have a guaranteed second, at least the second best quarterback in the draft class, they can go Saquon over 1. At number 1. I do not think they pick him if they don't have the number 4 pick as well. But go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's the best player on the board. He's going to make plays in the NFL for a long time. Cleveland needs a running back. With the number 2 overall pick, since Barkley's off the board, I think the Giants have to go with a backup quarterback, take the future, and I'm going with Sam Darnold from USC. I don't think he's the best fit for the Giants. I'm not sure he's the best fit for New York. I think he has the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks in this draft class, though. No, Josh Allen, a close second.
But I do have the same top 2.
Do you?
Yeah, and honestly, we're gonna have the same number 3 because
I guarantee we have the same number 3 and 4.
If Saquon isn't there, then you're taking Chubb at number 3, and that's just as simple as that. So I have 3 Indianapolis Chubb from North Carolina State. At number 4, I have Josh Allen, quarterback.
I have the exact same thing.
You got to pick. He's the only one who, in this draft, in my opinion, can play, besides Sam Darnold, who can play in that Cleveland weather.
Yep.
And Sam Darnold's already taken. So I do think Sam Darnold is a good Cleveland fit. I do think that's
I do too.
To take. But I don't think that is a player, he's just not going to be there in my mock draft. So because I would have had Josh Allen going to Denver at 5, but who's your number 5 and 6?
All right, so number 5, Denver. Since they're out of the Kirk Cousins race, apparently now, I have them pulling the trigger on Josh Rosen from UCLA.
Same.
Yeah.
You got the same top 5 right now?
Yeah. This might be where it gets different. For the New York Jets at number 6, I have them. Since there's no quarterbacks on the board, they could reach for Baker Mayfield. I don't think they will. That's what you have. I don't think they will, though. I have them beefing up the offensive line and taking Quentin Nelson from Notre Dame. I think his combine has cemented himself as a top 10 pick.
Okay. I actually have Baker Mayfield at 6, and I have Quentin Nelson at 7. Tampa Bay's offensive line is absolutely atrocious. It's bottom 5 in the in the entire league. They need it for. They have all these good skill position players, and they're not doing anything with it. It makes you wonder. It is the offensive line. And number 8, I think this is going to be a bit of a reach, but I do think that the Bears take Calvin Ridley from Alabama because they need a wide receiver, dude. They need some players for Mitch Trubisky. They need
really? Now you screwed me up here. So Minkah Fitzpatrick is still on the board.
He is.
I'm changing mine on the spot.
Do yours. Just explain it. If I have a different 8 than you, that's fine.
I guess you're right. I had Minkah Fitzpatrick going earlier than that. I had him going to Tampa Bay at number 7. They need help in the secondary. He can play all the positions. But at number 9, I have the 49ers taking – I don't feel great about it, but edge rusher Marcus Davenport from UTSA. They really struggled at getting after the passer last year. And with Russell Wilson and Jared Goff in the same division, they're going to have to find – especially with Russell Wilson, you got to find a way to get after the quarterback. And I think Davenport's going to be able to do that. And at number 10, I got Oakland. They could go, in my opinion, any direction defensively, and it's going to be an improvement. But I got them taking linebacker Roquan Smith from Georgia. Get a leader in the middle of that defense.
We just had those. So hold on. Who did you have San Francisco taking?
Davenport.
Okay. I have San Francisco taking Roquan Smith. Somebody to pair up with who they draft last year. Great player. Bama player. Reuben Foster. Great player.
And Solomon Thomas.
Foster, very formidable for the future. At number 10, I have Minkah Fitzpatrick to pair up with Carl Joseph in Oakland.
That would be a real. I know you at one point had Derwin James there at that point since we've done this podcast. I like Fitzpatrick a lot more.
Exactly.
Paired with Carl Joseph.
They complement each other very well. 11, I have Miami. These are mine. Sorry, I just have to explain it so we, make sense
right.
here. 11, I have Miami taking Denzel Ward. They can go a lot of different directions here. I think they're a very good candidate to trade up. We'll see a lot of the, we didn't do any trades in this draft.
I don't like when people do that. How are we going to predict a trade unless it's already happened?
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of trades, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cincinnati, I have taken Tremaine Edmonds. I think he's just the best player left on the board, and they need him.
I have 2 totally different picks. I got well, I don't want to get too much into it. Apparently, Miami really likes Darius Geis, so I have them taking him. Since trading away.
Really?
What's his name? Jay Ajayi.
I thought they liked Kenyon Drake, though.
He's not bad. I just don't think he's a first running back.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati, come on, I think Cincinnati has got to beef up the offensive line. I have them taking Connor Williams.
Okay.
But so at number 13, I got the Redskins. They could go quarterback here. I won't be shocked. But I got them taking Derwin James.
Same.
Yeah, they need someone in the back end.
I'm afraid to play him, honestly. He's going to be a good player.
Yeah. And then Green Bay, I really don't know what Green Bay is going to do. I just have them taking best player available, and that's Tremaine Edmonds.
Okay. That would be a great pickup for you guys. Very good developmental player.
But I think you already had him off the board, so maybe I should say somebody else.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Like I said, these are our mock drafts. We can just sort of explain them through. So I had Derwin James going to Washington as well. For Green Bay, I had your teams taking Deron Payne. I think that would be a great pairing with Mike Daniels.
And Kenny Clark.
And that's a very, you know what I mean? I didn't know they had two good defensive tackles. Maybe that was a bad pick. But I think Deron Payne would be a very good player to put on that D-line.
Dean Lowry's not bad. We haven't seen what Montravius Adams can do yet. So I have no problem with beefing up the front.
Okay. So 15, these are my picks. I have Arizona taking Connor Williams. Very old, slow, bad offensive line.
Yeah.
They need one. I know they need a quarterback too. I think they're a very good trade candidate for either Nick Foles. Maybe they'll go grab Case Keenum. Maybe they'll trade up in the draft. But
they had, I think they were awarded a few compensatory picks. One was the third round, so they could easily trade a second and their 2/3 and bump up into the top 10 and take a quarterback.
Agreed. So. And then I have Baltimore taking Marcus Davenport. Ozzie Newsome is he's got to get back to what made him good. That was drafting defense and going heavy defense. They need some pass rushers, so I have Marcus Davenport going.
Well, I had Baker Mayfield going to Arizona. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. They need a quarterback.
Sure.
And then Baltimore, I had still had Calvin Ridley on the board. I'm not sure he falls this far, but I had Calvin Ridley going to Baltimore.
That's about where he belongs in the draft, though. I think that's a good, decent value pick.
Yeah, I think so too. But at 17, I got the Chargers taking Vita Vea from Washington. Even though they had a really good defense, they could use some help in the interior. I know, is it Lugit that's getting old? Or Square, I don't remember. I think it's Damian Square. But they could use Vea. I think he's more of a 3-4. 3-4 nose tackle, and the Chargers run more of a 4-3. Yeah. And then at 18, I got Seattle taking Sony Michel from Georgia. They need a running back.
Okay.
I feel that's like one of my favorite picks of my mock draft is Sony Michel to Seattle.
Not a bad pick. I actually like that. I have the Chargers taking Vea as well. They have great pass rushers. They're just not stopping the run well. They need a big run stopper.
They could easily go linebacker too.
And it's going to fall right in their lap. They're going to take Vea. I'm telling you, if he's there, they're going to take him. And then 18.
And he's a Polynesian guy, West Coast, not far from home. Makes sense.
Exactly. Seattle, I have McGlinchey, and the reason I say that instead of a running back is because I think you can get a very good running back in like round 3. They do grab McGlinchey, get a decent tackle on the other side of Dwayne Brown to play right tackle for a few years.
That's huge. That's 2 really good bookend tackles.
Yep. And so back to my picks. Dallas, they're taking Rashaan Evans. They need I think he's very good pick for Dallas there. I think that would be a solid pick.
Had that. I mean, we sent like 3 or 4 mock drafts over the week. I had him going to Dallas in one of them, but I've changed it since.
It changes every day. And then 20, I don't feel great about this pick. I feel like Detroit can go in a billion different directions here. But I have them taking Arden Key. I do think, you can never use too many edge rushers. He's the next best edge rusher. Does have a high ceiling.
I said it last week. As a Green Bay fan, when I feel like Detroit has been as its best as a team when it had a good pass rush. And they have not had a good pass rush since Ndamukong Suh left. Ziggy Ansah, they franchise tagged him, but who knows if he'll be around the year after. So I do think you're right. They need to beef up the pass rush. Mm-hmm. But I had Dallas taking Josh Jackson, corner from Iowa. And then they probably won't do that since they took 2 young corners last year, but best player on the board. And then I got Detroit taking Harold Landry from Boston College.
I think it's a little high, but I can see that.
Probably. They could easily go linebacker too. Rashaan Evans, but in my draft, he's there. They could easily take him too.
So you got 2 Buffalo picks in a row here.
Yep. I I think first off, besides quarterback, they gotta replace Eric Wood, who had a career-ending injury. They gotta find someone to start at center, and this is the perfect place to draft his replacement because there was 2 really good options with Billy Price and James Daniels, but now that Price is probably going to fall out of the first round with his injury, I think they take James Daniels, the center from Iowa, beef up the offensive line, find his replacement, or Eric Wood's replacement. And then I know who you had at this point, James. I do not. I have Buffalo Bills taking Daron Payne. They could use some interior defensive linemen.
You can always draft 2 linemen and no one will be upset.
Yep.
All right. So I changed mine up a little bit. I do have Buffalo taking Lamar Jackson. I do think he has the arm strength to play up there. Someone's going to take a chance on this guy early, I'm telling you. And then 22.
You're starting to convince me. I won't be shocked at all.
They do need some interior lineman help, and I have them taking Will Hernandez. Like you said, the dude was a freak of nature. Just a fat, large, fast, strong man. Perfect interior lineman for LaShawn McCoy and to block for whoever the hell's playing there. And then coming back to my picks, 23, probably a bit of a reach, but I think it's a good pairing with Aaron Donald. I have him taking Taven Bryan. I think he's a very.
But they already got Brockers.
Huh?
They already have Michael Brockers.
Okay, so let me see who else I should put. I didn't know who to really give him, dude.
I'll tell you who I gave them, and it makes even more sense after today with them trading Alec Ogletree, and that's Rashaan Evans.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, but
or they could go edge rusher, since trading away Robert Quinn.
It gets a little spooky down the bottom of mock drafts. It gets hard at the bottom. But Carolina, I have taken probably a reach and probably too similar of a player to Devin Funchess, but I do have him taking Cortland Sutton. They just got to get him some.
That makes a ton of sense.
Maybe Christian Kirk, like a little fast slot receiver, would be nice for Cam, something like that. But I do have him taking Cortland Sutton. I think has a chance to be a pretty good player. Who's Tennessee and Atlanta taking, Shane?
Well, so I already revealed Rashaan Evans. With Carolina, I had them actually taking Mike McGlinchey.
Okay.
But with the Titans, I have them. This is where I have Arden Key going. They need some help on the edge. They got to find some edge rushers. That's what this pick has to be, in my opinion. There's not very many. You're not going to find very many outside the first round this year. And then at 26, I have the Falcons. I have them taking an interior offensive lineman. I could go back and forth between Will Hernandez and Isaiah Wynn, but I think the Falcons stay local and take Wynn from Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I have Isaiah Wynn going to Atlanta at 26 too. I have Josh Jackson going to Tennessee. I know that's 2 corners in the first round 2 years in a row, but
that's not completely dumb. They need another corner to pair with Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson, I agree. All right, 27. I have another weapon for, and they probably will go defense here, but I don't see that many great defensive players left, to be honest with you. I have them taking Mike Gesicki, given my man Drew Brees a very, very good.
Makes a ton of sense now that I think about it.
I like that pick.
That is a great pick.
I'm taking Gesicki, giving Michael Thomas some breathing room, giving Alvin Kamara and that running game some breathing room. And 28, I have, since the unfortunate incident to Mr. Shazier, I have him taking Leighton Vander Esch.
I have the exact same.
I don't think he'll get to the Eagles at 32, but if he's there, they're gonna take him. I promise you.
So I had the same pick at 28. At 27, I actually had the Saints taking Christian Kirk.
Okay.
I'd love to see what he does in the same receiving core as Michael Thomas.
Okay.
So 29 and 30, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars actually taking Cortland Sutton from SMU. Okay. Since Allen Robinson is probably all but out the door in Jacksonville, they need another big body wide receiver, possession guy, and I think that's Sutton. And then with the Vikings, I have them taking Brian O'Neill from Pitt. Beef up the offensive line. I'm not sure he's a great fit in that offense. I don't really know, but just beef up the offensive line.
Okay. Yeah, I have Jacksonville taking Dallas Goedert, just getting Blake Bortles a nice tight end weapon. Could potentially be the best tight end.
That makes a ton of sense. I want to see what he runs at his pro day.
Yeah, but exactly. And I have Minnesota's can kind of make a luxury pick here. They don't really have any glaring holes, so I have them taking Christian Kirk to throw in the slot next to Thielen and Diggs. I think.
In
That's
one
really
of my
nice.
Mock drafts, I had them taking a corner, just best player available.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. You get down here, you get to make some BPA picks, which is great. So I have 31 and 32 right now, right?
Yep, your Eagles.
Who's the 32nd pick?
Your Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, dude. I had New England taking Brian O'Neill. They do need some offensive.
That makes
lineup.
sense. Yep.
You got to protect Brady at this point.
They could easily go edge rusher.
They could go anywhere.
I think the priority is to get faster defensively. They were obviously torched in the Super Bowl.
If a linebacker falls to them, I can see them taking a very athletic linebacker, something like that. And 32.
I'll tell you who I'd love to see them get is Shaquem Griffin.
Who, the Patriots?
Yeah.
They won't draft him round one, but
No. I just meant at some point in the draft.
No, I agree. That'd be cool. 32. Who do you have for 32? I'm curious.
Well, I actually said I'd have put him in the second round, but I put him in the first, and I just had them beefing up the running back room and getting Ronald Jones from USC.
Okay.
Just best player available. I think Ajayi's about to be a free agent next year, so Blunt's getting up there in age. I think it makes sense.
Listen, Blunt's probably going to leave, honestly, unless we can sign him for very cheap. But listen, we need linebacker and we need a tackle, but they're going to have to reach here for both of those positions because they're all depleted at this point, at least in my mock draft.
I think Malik Jefferson's still available. Malik Jefferson's still available. They could take him.
Not drafting him round one.
I don't think so either. But
round one. So, and at tackle, if McGlinchey's there, take him. You know what I mean? But I have him taking, like you said, I have him taking a running back as well, but I have Sony Michel going to him.
I saw that, yeah. And
I think Doug Peterson can come up with a billion ways to use Sony Michel.
I don't think if anything, I think Philly trades out. They're not gonna trade up. They don't have the picks to do it.
Dude, apparently there's like a shit storm of trades coming from Philly. I mean, I just sit on the Bleacher Report Philly app all day. A lot of shit's coming, so I'll have a lot more updates on this mock draft. But
so before we end things, I actually had New England, since Malcolm Butler's likely leaving town, I had them taking a corner, Jair Alexander.
Okay.
All right, but that's it for me.
That's it for me.
Really fun. I know I probably blew you up over the weekend with text about the combine.
This is the best, at least for this show, this is the best time of year.
Yeah, I agree.
Speculative shit.
But yeah, so regular show will be likely tomorrow. Is Artis going to join us?
No, Artis has to fly to Texas.
Damn it. We got to get him on the show.
Houston. He'll be on the show.
I know, but we got to get him on. Especially since the Chiefs have made 2 big moves this offseason, and that's his team. But anyway, I will see you tomorrow, James. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with a regular show, like I said, tomorrow. Peace.
Later.